Hi, this is Sandy coming to you with the Sandy Cam.
There we go. That's way better.
Yeah. Hello, I am Sammy Mackey.
And I'm Al Curtis.
We are here at
Live.
Novi Expo Center in Novi, Michigan, suburban showplace at the...
Backyard Pool and Spa Show 2019.
Yes, we are. So let's have a conversation with Ask the Pool Guy. Should we put the light on just because
Yes, we
have
should.
it?
I got it. You're absolutely right. We should.
All right, again from the top. I am Sandy Mackey.
And I'm Al Curtis.
And we are here talking to you today.
We are live at the Novi Backyard Pool and Spa Show. It is the only, currently, and I think for the last 20 years, the only consumer swimming pool and spa show in the country. There's all kinds of other types of consumer shows, home shows and builder shows and things, but this is the only specific to swimming pools and spas consumer show. So it's dealers dealing directly with the consumer for the product. Any other pool shows, that ones we talk about all the time, are from the distribution and manufacturing end to the dealer. So it's never dealing with the end user. In this particular case, it's from dealer to consumer.
Yes.
Makes it unique.
Yes, it does.
And this is 20-something years, 22 years or something like that. We were trying to figure it out.
So I'm starting every sentence with the word so. I will stop doing that now. We have been here now for 2 days. We're going on the end of day 2.
You okay? You wanna?
I'm very
you fidgety here?
I was just going to say that it's been such a commotion in our booth.
It has
From last night, where Mike Z was here, we did some chatting with him. Al did some chatting with him that we filmed. That was great. And then today, it has been a whirlwind since we hit the door. Started with Bud, Lazy River Acres, followed by just cool people stopping in to see us. And then we're talking about Anthony from the Pirate Pool, and literally 2 minutes later, we get a notification. He texts us a picture that he's enjoying his pool in the snow, so that made everybody's day.
In his bathing suit, sitting in a chair out in the freezing cold by his swimming pool.
That was crazy.
That was fun.
And I think that the show for us is accomplishing exactly what we set out to do.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of different reasons to do a show, and most business people would look at it as a way simply as marketing and promoting their business and getting consumers and getting a customer. And we take a very different approach, and we have for a long time. I mean, granted, we like to see a customer come out of a show, and many of our greatest customers have come from the show. But when we decided to do it this year, I remember the conversation you specifically said when I asked you, why should we do it? And we've done it 20 out of the 22 years that the show has existed. And I had said, so what would be our reason? And I think you said it best when you said, it's just to be there for the people who are specifically coming to look for us. Explain that, kind of what you were thinking when you said that, because it's absolutely true.
Well, if we look back at when we really started doing a lot more online, we started taking pictures at the pool show and then showcasing more of our day-to-day. I remember the year that we met Pat Billiou. She came to the show specifically looking for us, and they went through the show. We happened to be in a back corner that year, which for some reason they hadn't seen. So they were getting ready to leave, and she said they have to be here. So they looked at the map and they figured out where we were. and they come roaring into our booth, and she is almost indignant that they dare put us in the corner.
I remember she was so,
she said
couldn't
we
believe.
should be at the front of the show. And we got to talking with her, and she was talking about wanting to put in a pool and hoping that we would take the time to talk with them about their project. And at first glance, their project was a little further away than we would take on for the scope of what they were looking for. But because she was like so exuberant about us and our team and loved everything we had done and came specifically looking for us, Al took the appointment. And from there, like the minute that he went for the appointment, like something was just different with them. I mean, from the minute she came up to the booth, that we had to build them a pool, and we did. And she is our #1 raving fan. So that brings me to why did we do this show? Because we also met Pilates, the pirate pool, at a show. I tell the story in the beginning of the series, the movie and the episodes that we shot, that Al and I were sitting at the show, very much like we are today, and we were people watching and talking, and I noticed over there a man with a mohawk, and I don't know that I had seen one in like years.
And you made that comment to me.
And I did mention it to Al because people watching is fascinating stuff. And they came over to us, started a conversation, which led to a pool appointment, which led to building the backdrop that you see behind us based on their pool.
They had come, though, specifically looking for us.
They did.
It's not like they came to the show and happened to run into us.
Right.
They came with one goal in mind, which was to meet us and find out if what we did was real. And they were excited to the point where they obviously had watched our stuff online, because Wendy was making sure that Anthony was going to be on his best behavior, because we talk about that we're really selective about who we work with, because we want to make sure that it's the best for us and the best for the client. If we can't have fun with it, we're never going to have fun with the customer's not going to have fun with us. We don't want to do that. But if we can truly have a good time and we know we're going to relate. So they were on their way here when she had told him that he needed to be on his best behavior. But they already knew about us, they had already watched our stuff, and they were coming here specifically for that.
Right.
So that's why when we talked about why to do the show this year, it was for that reason, is there's people that come looking specifically for us that have already interacted with us online. They know us, much like Bud said here today, and he said, "Oh, I already know you," to Karen. He knew, "Oh, that's Mark," when he walked up to the booth, not because he'd met them, but he'd met them online. And I think that when you really kind of break that down and you think about how powerful that is, that he already knows all these players and we're introducing them and he knows them already, it's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah. So that's why we're here.
So as a result of that, we knew that we were going to be here to be here. We're going to set up a booth. It doesn't look like we build pools necessarily. We're here not to compete, not to distract or take away from anyone else here. We're here for those people that come looking for us.
So let me just tell you a little story here. So we're sitting in our booth where we have comfy chairs, because we discovered a number of years ago that the comfy chairs are the way to go. We brought this bar that's in front of us, which is a great place to hide all of our stuff. It is also serving as a fantastic station to do our filming and video from. And as we were getting ready for the show, in my mind, since we decided to do the show, we were going to have some kind of a setup for doing video. And Al didn't quite understand why we were going to clutter it with lights and chairs and equipment and everything, but that's the reason we're here, because we do so much content to put online. So pulling together what we're bringing to the show for our booth began on Thursday. We started talking about it, and setup was 8 a.m. Friday morning, so this was very pre-planned. And
that's pre-planning for us, is what you're saying.
Al and I, were having a difference of opinion on what we needed and how much to bring and all that kind of good stuff. So
Not undifferent than any other time before.
No.
However,
no,
this being that it was the most
However-
recent in history,
yeah.
it
However,
was a
that's
little
what
bit, a
happened.
bit of a heated / why are we doing this type of a scenario.
We were both very happy, let's just say. Although, even when we're not like super thrilled, we push on and
we
it all
make
turns
it all
out
work.
okay.
Right.
So we discussed which of the backdrops we should bring. We ended up bringing the pirate ship, which is great. And then we decided we're bringing the bar and other things, and that was all great. And then Al says, like, are we going to have any pictures up, or are we going to put our name on our booth? And you see, there's this little part of me that says we have like one book on the table, and that has our name on it, and we're showing up with our faces. So anybody who is coming to look for us, they'll figure it out. So I wasn't really too worried about it, but Al was a little bit more worried about having our name on the booth. So as we kept hunting around the office, we found this lovely banner with our name. So we put our name across our booth. And let me tell you what a difference it has made having our name on our
Everybody
booth.
looks at that name. Yes, I get it. Again, there's a little part of me saying, if you're going to present yourself, make it easy for people to know who you are. Now that's going back to the days when we were here looking for leads
don't eat your foot.
versus being here just in case those people come and look for us. So there's a little bit of that in me going, well, if we're gonna at least take this time to do it and spend the time here, why not at least present ourselves enough that someone might see it? And so I realize that doesn't
didn't
really
think
matter.
It was that important.
It doesn't matter. It really
But
doesn't.
We compromised and we
We
put our
did.
name up, and now we're telling you about it, because that's the delightful thing about any of our decisions. When we sit down to have this conversation, we can just rehash them for you, our adoring fans and viewers, to learn about.
Well, okay, there.
So there you have it, the behind the scenes story of why we have our name on our
The
booth.
little dinky banner across the top of our booth.
So since
has
we've
a
gotten
name.
here, we had Mike in this chair, and he and Al talked for an hour yesterday, which when he said, well, how long have I been sitting here? And I'm like, well, we filmed an hour. And he's like, whoa, time flies when you're having fun. And then today, these chairs have been occupied. We went live
the
on
camera.
Facebook. Jesse did a tour, and then we put people in the hot seats, and we did some interviews. And the buy-in from our team, since we did the Pirate Pool Adventure, and everybody reluctantly got excited about doing video, everybody knows why it's important. Last year, we did less of it because it seemed to be
It was a subdued year
like
a little bit. Something
a little
was
different pace of a year for us, and then this year we were committed
we made
even
a decision.
more than
Yeah.
we ever have before, and we're getting the rest of the team involved. We have given everybody access to the social media accounts, so when we come to an event like this, you know, before they were always encouraged to take pictures and videos and send them, and then we'd put them up, but now they're supposed to take them when we're here, and they all have access, so they can upload to our stories and share like in the minute that we're doing things. So it may have been one of those posts that Bud saw that we're going to be here because we put it on Facebook. And so he came by to see us today, which launched he and Mark chatting, and then he and Al, and he was really grilling Al for questions about like the design process, because Bud has committed to having us build his pool based on the initial design that Al had done, and there have been a few changes along the way. And Bud's questions kept going to like, well, have you figured out how you're going to do this, or what's this? So he was like really leading Al into giving away more of, you know, this project
stuff that I hold close
that
to
he's
me.
buying from us. You know, he was trying to find out what it was going to look like, or some of the different things. So it was really fun. And then Kaylee and Jesse and Karen and everybody is just like all in and participating. We even got Mark to go out on the floor and do some service recommendations. So the show for me at this point has been doing absolutely everything that I thought it could.
I have no less than 5 different comments I want to make just on what you said, but the first one is I think we made the decision that we knew that the Lazy River Acres pool project was going to be more interactive socially versus shooting episodes that then get released later, there's a little more of an element of
We'll be releasing
interaction,
it as we
right?
go.
And I think each of the people on the team are starting to get that, so they're becoming more active in all of the parts, all of those little pieces. So each one of them is willing to get mic'd up, talk on film, let's talk about this, let's talk about that. And it's really fun to see because there's a different feel about it. And that's one of the things I think I wanted to talk more specifically about when we turned the camera on, is what's happening this year with us, with the team. There's this.
Number one, we realized everybody is coming with us to build this pool that worked on the pirate pool.
Yes, we're bringing. So Bud was sitting here earlier, had said something about the labor, anyone new coming on, and the reality is no. We've retained the entire team with
the exception of Rick.
But from last year alone.
Last year,
but then we're also bringing someone back who's worked for us. At least we're hoping he's coming back, which is really exciting because of kind of what that brings to the equation.
His name starts with a Z.
It's a later in the alphabet thing.
Yeah.
And it's a is the last name, or last part of that. I don't remember.
Sorry, a chew?
Anyway, yeah, something like that. I don't know. Anyway.
So that is really good. And one of the questions that Bud had asked, because Bud has been watching us, eagerly awaiting their video, I'm sure, to come out, because when they came to the mansion, we did some initial videos. And he was asking, why do we take the team to the shows? Like, how much do we learn there and what happens? And Al was explaining, so you can refer over to that video. Woo,
hello. Good, how are you?
Good. Been a long time?
Yeah. How are your adventures going with your endeavors? Your what? Okay.
You're at Fidelity? So things have changed a little bit. No more banking. Interesting. Well, we're still banking.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah, we still have bank accounts.
That's a good thing.
So how come you guys came out to the show?
We have a pool, and we're looking for a new
Okay. Got it. Okay. Okay. In-ground pool or above ground? Yeah. Okay. We do like the whole environment. We do run a full service team.
Why don't you give him a book? He has a pool if he wants to learn more about.
And also we have this helpful book about like everything you need to know about water chemistry or the different types of pools and things like that. But yeah, if you...
The only challenge with it is you got to read it to learn anything from it. So, it's just one of those things. She likes to read? All right, so you're good then. You're fine.
So how old is your pool and kind of what's the...
I think we just looked earlier, it was put in 85.
Okay.
One of my early years.
And the liner was replaced in 98.
Okay.
That is as old as my son. Yep. Okay.
You got 20 years out of your liner?
Yeah, well,
that's amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's a crazy good.
Those old liners were like that. You won't get 20 years out of a new liner.
Because the EPA won't let them.
What happened was the EPA banned some of the UV inhibitors. Okay. So the quality of liners about 10 years ago went way down. 15 years ago went way down.
Is that in the book?
It might be. We might touch on it, but they're getting better. It's just that you're not likely to get 20 years out of a liner. You'll get 12 to 15, but some of those old liners we got 20 and 25 years. Yeah. You just won't get it anymore.
Yeah, that's what we assumed. I wasn't sure if it was the thickness of it. If that
no,
had to do with it.
It helps. A thicker liner is better than it, but incrementally better. Yeah. It's not like if you go with 27 or what's called a 30 mil versus 20. You won't. It's 50% thicker, but you won't get 50% longer use. You'll get a couple years maybe. Yeah. So it's hardly worth. Just go with the 20 mil liner. It's hardly worth the difference in cost.
Unless you're an engineer who
wants to look at specs
think
of
about
stuff.
Trash
well, we know
bags.
he's not an engineer, but he's a finance banking guy.
Those are the only people that I let just choose a 30 for fun.
Yeah.
Because it matters to them. Like the ply of a trash bag. I mean, you can tell the solid ones versus a little thinner. This is not that much of a difference, and it's something sharp is going to cut them both just the same. The sun is going to impact them both just the same. Yep. sometimes you might have a reason for doing the 30 if it's like some condition in the pool that warrants it, or you need it to hold structure a little more. Otherwise, yeah, the 20s are perfect.
Every once in a while, on the supplier end, they'll do a deal where you can get the heavier liner for the price of the thinner liner. You know, that it's worth doing it then because there's not a lot of money into it. But the $500 or whatever it is difference in cost, to me, isn't worth doing.
So we do liners. We aren't going to be your least expensive option probably ever, just because we are what we are, and we know what our costs are. But we'll do a regular rectangle kind of thing. If you wanted us to get you a price, if you just call us up, our phone number and everything should be in there, or there's magnets down there.
Yeah, we can at least quote it for you. You'll get one of the girls in the office. She'll probably ask, just send us some pictures so we can get rough dimensions and stuff, and then we can shoot you a price. And if I'm assuming you're in the area here somewhere between Brighton and Howell. Okay.
Yeah. So, we can get you a price, and if you want to go with it, great. And if you find somebody that you like better, that's okay too. On our website too, I always link to the liner choices that we have. We also have samples, but we use the Kafko Latham liners. Al's been loyal to them.
I've been loyal for 30 years, 35 years. So this is my 32nd year, and I've really always used Kafko, always.
Yeah, they're really good quality, all that kind of stuff. Yep, we do. His nephew Mark is our head service guy, and he's phenomenal, and heaters are actually his sweet spot. He'll get crazy, obsolete, they should have been replaced 10 years ago heaters to work, because he's like the heater whisperer. So that's great. Yeah, so he's kind of cool with that too.
He's 30 or 31 years old, and I think this will be his 18th or 19th or 20th year. I mean, he started with me. I think he started coming in, we had a store in Farmington, and I think he started coming in when he was 9 or 10, hauling chlorine to cars and stuff, and his dad and brothers all work here, so he started early. So he's got as a 30-year-old, he's got 18 years at least in the field experience, which is interesting.
And he takes it very seriously.
He takes it real serious.
At one point, I'm like, Mark, if we know them really well, you're allowed to be there after midnight. Otherwise, I need you to cut it when it gets dark.
10 o'clock is the cutoff point.
So.
Yeah, he would work all night.
Yeah, we're on Hacker, actually. So we were Brighton and then Howell. Actually, we moved from Old 23 over to Hacker. And we're kind of at the same level north, but we switched cities.
Yeah, it was Brighton Township, now it's Howell.
Yeah.
On Hacker is Howell, yeah. Yeah, so we're right there local.
All right, yeah.
Cool.
Oh, you have all the specs with you.
I do have.
Yeah, you want me? I'll shoot
it's
a
a fox
picture of those.
pool? Cool.
I will shoot a picture of that.
No, I got it.
Oh, you're kidding. I'll take a picture. I'll go digital.
Okay, so it's a fox pool.
Yeah.
Probably built by, let's see, what was his name? Okay.
It's Jim Dennis.
Yes. Okay, so I knew way back in the day. I think he was out of Rochester, or he was somewhere over, not east side, but sort of over that way. He was the only fox dealer in the Detroit area, and Fox Pools was all right, so here's something interesting.
Hold on.
I think he single-handedly sort of changed my perception of banking.
Oh, okay. So let's tell our... So here, Al and I are at the show, of course, having a conversation where we are talking about why we did the booth and why we're doing video. And up walks simultaneously a couple different people. One is the guy that originally set up our accounts at the State Bank, which has become our primary banking institution, I was telling him. And Al has something to add.
Well, at the same time, another woman came up that came looking for us because she's seen our stuff online, and she thought our website was very informative, and she has a challenge pool that she needs some things, quite a bit of work done and all of that, and felt like she had just said to me, she felt that we had the knowledge, but we had the expertise to be able to do something. So that's the second thing. But the first one, when we first met this gentleman that walked up, we met him, I think, at a networking event of some kind.
Yeah.
And to me, that was bizarre. In this banking world, it's almost as if they're over there and we're over here, and somehow we have to go over there to use their service. But in fact, he was over there and he came over here. And he talked to us about banking in our world, in the networking world. It wasn't like, oh, you got to go to the bank and try to build a relationship. He left the bank. He was VP or
Yeah, he ran the
president. I mean, he
branch.
ran the branch.
Yeah.
So he was not at the bank. He was out in the community talking to people about banking. And that kind of fundamentally shifted my perception of what a bank was, because it became a human being instead of just a robot at the branch. He was out there where we were, talking to us about how he could help us in the banking world. That was, I think for me, that's the first time anyone from a banking perspective had taken the time to come out and talk to the community. And that was something he did really well.
Yeah.
Was he came out and he talked to us as one client. Who knows how many other clients he got out of that, but it was a very different world than us going, well, do we want this bank or this bank or this bank? You know, this is a big conglomerate bank, and this is a big bank, and here's this what appeared to be very hometown based. I know they have more than one branch, but it didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
It felt like here's this guy in the community, came out to these events that we were at and started talking to us about banking. So we went in, and today, after that's been quite a few years.
10 years.
10 years.
Maybe.
Now that bank is our primary bank. I mean, we
are
do.
now.
They do most of our business today.
Became our
Because of
primary
him.
bank, right? We had relationships at other banks, and when we started our accounts, I think we told him, like, we're willing to open them. I don't know how much we'll use them because we're doing well over here. And over time, the other bank that we were with was a larger bank where you're just a number, it seems like.
And also people came and went because
Yeah.
a lot of the bigger banks, you get to know the vice president of the bank, and next thing you know, they're moved to
There's
another
someone
branch
else.
and there's someone else, and then you get to
Yeah.
know them and they move. So there was that constant movement, which gave us this opportunity to go the feel is more local.
It definitely
Mhm.
is. So we can thank him for that. And yes,
Absolutely.
knowing the people at the bank, like, we get pretty large draws, and being able to call the bank and knowing the branch manager, like, hey, I'm putting this check in, and they're like, oh, we know you. So they release holds, you know, they have the discretion to do that. So that relationship has proved great as far as business goes for us.
That little conversation or that little thing that happened just now goes to everything that I keep thinking about, how our world is just fundamentally changing. Because what's been happening to me lately is I'm recognizing the people in my life and those little micro habits and those little things that I've picked up from people, how drastically they've changed my life. He's kind of the example of that from a banking end, which you would never go, oh, that doesn't mean much, but eventually it means something. And his interaction with us changed the way that I view banking. And that's why it's kind of serendipitous that in the moment that we were talking a bit about how the world is becoming really different for us and how amazing this year is going to be, and here walks up a guy who we now haven't seen for many years,
Right.
and he fundamentally changed something in me when it came to the banking world.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of a cool
that is
moment.
really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely.
I kind of wish that I had been able to tell him that, but then I had someone else I had to deal with at the same moment. But
Right. Well, we'll
I'll get
shoot
a
him this
chance. We'll
video,
get a chance.
and then
Yep.
maybe he'll take a peek at it. So
Mhm.
I don't even remember. We were in the middle of some type of story about something
yeah,
when they walked up, and we went into something else, which we can tell a lot more stories about.
yeah,
Oh, well, I had wanted to talk about. So we were talking about Las Vegas and how Bud had asked why we would go.
that's where we were.
And
Yep.
really, it was.
Why do you go there? And
So I knew the reasons that we were thinking about bringing our team to the world of concrete, like to learn, to go to the show, to be a part of it with each other. And the other part that we did is talked about the importance of everybody participating even more in social media. And it was really great because especially Kaylee and Jesse and Katie, who's always been able to do a part of that, they were posting like crazy. They were updating the story all the time on Facebook and on Instagram. They were doing a lot of that social stuff, which we have a great foundation. And like we were talking about the energy this year, like they are so willing to participate in that. They're updating the stories all the time. And that's great because the more of this we do, the more content we have. And I've been responsible for a lot of that
Most of
solely,
it, yes.
building it, and then we brought Katie in and I've had some help, but most of that is like delegating, like telling them, okay, today we need to do this and today we need to do this, but now they're empowered to just do it when they feel that it's relevant, and that's a huge thing that, like, the camaraderie developing in Las Vegas and then Atlantic City to a greater extent, and the more empowered team, like there's more buy-in, there's more level of give a shit, like it is just, it's crazy.
Do you know what it's done also? It's been able to diversify our story. Now it's no longer just the story that you present us as,
Right.
because each of these people, we all have a different eye, and we can all walk by the same thing and see something different, and their buy-in to participate is bringing a richer, rounder flavor to who we are. It's not just my viewpoint or your viewpoint. It's really what it's been to this point is your viewpoint based on my words. You know, you've been able to take the content to do something with it, and most of it, and not all of it, but most of it is somehow me wrapping my jaw about something and then you presenting in a certain way.
Well,
now they start bringing those additional viewpoints in.
once we got Al comfortable with it, I've always encouraged and suggested that when everybody else is here, we have them do video and things like that. And there's, in the past, been a lot more hesitation and a lot more running away when the camera came out.
There was
now
a significant difference.
Everybody participates and everybody is willing to participate. And I was saying yesterday, Kaylee was interviewing Zach, and then today she did some with Jesse, and she is different. Her approach to it is different.
She is different.
She has more of a why, and I guess that's probably what we could sum it up as. Like, everybody on our team is doubling down on their why.
They have a reason.
And
yeah.
we've doubled down on our why. So having everybody do all that it's working like magic. Like it's
magic.
It's crazy
Yeah.
cool. Crazy
Yeah.
cool.
All of those things just appear to me, and it's a feeling more than a visual. It's not like I can see the future in terms of what is happening, but I can feel. As you can feel, there's an undercurrent, a rumbling of something amazing happening within our organization, both congealing and growing as a group. And that's what Kaylee articulated really well yesterday on video. It's like we're all growing together and we're all learning about each other in ways that we don't when we're on the field. And so she used a lot of really good words about how it's bringing us together. But I think beyond that, it's kind of almost a combined consciousness that's taking us, the projects, all of those things we've been talking about, and then for me, all these moments of people that are like Jeremy coming back into our life for that moment and realizing how I'm not making it up, he fundamentally changed my impression about how a bank and my relationship should be. And then after we got a few accounts with him, and like you said, we were only running ancillary things through that bank. I remember walking into that bank and having him as that face, that welcome to the bank. That was an interesting shift moment for me, and it has changed kind of who I am. Yeah.
So sometimes too, people don't know that they can invest themselves in like a team until you tell them it's okay, or you suggest it, or you ask them. So when Kaylee was interviewing Zach yesterday, she alluded to something and asked the question, what did you enjoy, working with us and building the Pirate Pool? Because that was really his kind of first solid time. He'd worked just a little bit helping from time to time before that.
But he made a few cameos in the movie and the show.
So he was really in it, and he said it's like his favorite work experience thus far because of the energy and the team and all that kind of stuff. And we know that Kaylee, she's gone through some transitions because she started working in the pool store when she was 7.
Amazingly, at 7, she was amazing.
So she's come in and out, and she's kind of like dabbled, and then when she got to start working construction, she really liked it, but she was still, I think, hearing so much like chatter about being mainstream or a little more
What you're supposed
normal,
to
like
do.
going to college and doing this. And so she tried that like a bit, and then she kind of did half and half, and she is fully committed to pools being a part of her future, which is great because she's so well suited for it. And if she decides at some point that's no longer the case, well, that's, you know,
It's okay.
conversation for
Sure.
another day, and that'll be all right. But then I had her interviewing Jessie. And I don't know that we've asked Jessie to this point blank, like, what are your plans for the future? Because Jessie's here, and she's great at what she does, and she seems to enjoy it, yet, like, I don't know that she's been asked that question to build in her mind what it's going to look like. So she answered the question, and she was not committing fully, but she articulated that I could be here for a few years, and maybe I find something that I'm even more drawn to, but equally I could be here for the rest
she's
of my
okay
life.
in the moment.
So
Yeah.
I think that seed was planted for it to percolate, for her to maybe explore like more direction and see what she'd like to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, and isn't that interesting? Because again, Jessie followed the very traditional route, went to school, got a college degree, had no idea what she would do with it, and me as a dad can only guide so much.
She hasn't done
And she
that
hasn't done
for her field of
she
work
hasn't
yet.
used that field of work at all. And if you're in computers and technology, it's already obsolete. The degree that she got 2 years ago, she graduated like
I
so
still don't fully understand what it was about.
I don't fully either, but she went that route, and then she came back to us anyway. Through college, she worked a bit, and it's a perfectly okay. That something brings up a whole nother point here. I was standing right there on the other side of our booth with two other pool companies, owners of pool companies, and they were both just distraught about labor. I mean, to the point where the one is going, I'm already, and we haven't even started the year, I'm already 4 months behind, and I can't catch up, and I don't know what I'm going to do, and I don't have any solution for labor, and I have no idea what I'm going to do, and I'm quite fearful for this year. We haven't even started work this year, and because of an injury that he had last year, it put him behind, and then not having any competent labor, any ability to do that, like, put him way behind. Well, then the other guy started talking about, yeah, I'm going back in the field now. I haven't been in the field for many years, but I made a decision that the only way we can do this is if I go back in the field and I run the crew, and they're talking all of this, and I get it, and yet I also understand this world that we live in pushes this, but you have to get an education and you have to do a traditional whatever, and one of the guys made the comment that here he was offering someone he knows, or a young man, this ability to work like half of the year really hard and make a good solid living in half a year. And this kid was going, well, but no, I think I need to go to college. And the reality in that is, sure, I'm not saying college is bad. However, this kid could make more money in that half a year long hard stretch than he'll ever make with a college education. But there was this expectation, but if I get a college degree, what it insured him, I'm telling you, a college degree insured him half the income and 10 times the debt than just deciding that I can do this and I can learn this, and there's money to be made as a general laborer, maybe as a start, but there's so much room for potential.
There's so many more ways to access that education. That after high school education comes in so many more forms now.
It does.
You're not limited to going to a physical place, and there's online options, and there's so many great community programs, community college programs, that you could work, save up, not take on debt,
and have something after that same
adventure at any point.
Well, it was a bit of a surreal moment for me, because while I think all of it, one of the guys he said, this whole booming economy thing it really sucks. It's hard because you can't find labor.
It's harder to find labor.
He goes, it was easier to run my business in the depressed times when we were in a recession. And my comment back to him was, well, you had to work harder to find work, but it was easy to find labor. And he goes, yeah, that's exactly it. I never realized how the lack of labor makes running a company so much harder in terms of having the reliability, because any good labor is automatically sucked up. Then the okay labor automatically has jobs. Then even the really poor labor is working.
Sometimes
it's
companies
tough.
have to just throw a body at it,
Well,
and that can be tough.
One of the things that he said, though, that I really appreciated, and I was standing there, but he was in the conversation with the other guy and not me at the moment. I was off doing something, but I heard him say, we're building less pools this year. And I was really happy to hear him say that.
Yeah.
Because it meant, let's take back what we know we can do, let's do it well, let's make money doing it, and then look at it versus grow, take on more work. He even said, he goes, right now I could sell as many pools as I possibly could, but I have no idea how I build them. And there's no reason to sell pools just to sell them. And I was glad that he finally got that, because in the past he wanted to keep taking work because there was work, not because it was the right thing to do.
Right.
And that labor thing is one of those things that is crazy, but here we have our team currently, we're getting this really interesting buy-in, this interesting looking at what the long term could be, looking at how could each of us do our part in another way, in a different way, to perpetuate what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of powerful.
So I think I'll keep asking this question to the team members that haven't been asked it yet. So yesterday I had asked Kaylee and Zach to tell me about another team member and a quality that they admired in that team member. And Kaylee had said, I can't choose just
Pick one
because I admire something about everybody. And then I had Kaylee ask Jessie that question today, and Jessie gave the exact same answer, that she appreciates something about everybody on the team. So then she said she just really appreciates the team and the qualities that the team has taken on.
Isn't that interesting that it's not an individual,
phenomenal.
It's a whole group of people.
I would also enjoy if there was someone or an incident that stands out in their mind, but I found it very, very interesting that they both had the same answer, that they can find things about each person to admire and value.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and knowing that we've just sort of organically grown this team in the way that we've allowed them to be individual, and neither one of us are ruled by the iron fist methodology at all. It's letting each person grow through who they are, because think about it, they came to us, most of them really young, without any understanding of how the world worked. So we've had to allow them to grow into it through their, just a normal teen whatever. But then you look at the power of that team today, they have each other's back. They're going to watch over for each other. You don't come in and try to mess with the team anymore. They're going to watch each other and take care of each other and defend each other. And how cool it is that here we're sitting in that while other people at the very same time are grumbling, I don't even know how I can exist, and it's tearing me apart. And they were both talking about the stress and and it's a real thing.
We've had those uncertain times.
We have.
And we have invested a lot of time, effort, energy,
and
money in helping people learn. And some people that we've invested in have stayed, and some people that we've invested in have gone to do other things. And I think we made a switch a number of years ago about it might be worrisome, whatever's on the other side, whether it's labor or the commitment or having the right people. We never let it kind of get in though. We observed, I'm worried about this, and then we'd set it over there, assuming that we would do our best to make sure we took care of whatever that was, or hired the people, or got the right people in the right positions. So I wouldn't say it's a source of stress. We can empathize with where other companies might find themselves. As much as we've nurtured our teams, though, we've worked on us and understanding what people's needs are, what our team members' needs are, which is, it's critical in kind of forming what we've put together. So I don't know, it's not like one magic light switch goes on, or one little solution.
Right.
It's all those little things that we observe, we bookmark, we work on, we enhance, we keep moving forward, and they're all like they'll continue to grow and change, but they're kind of all
gelling
coming together.
Yeah.
All coming together.
Which reminds me of a conversation that I just had. I may have told you, I may not have, but then the last couple days, driving Molly to school, I had made a statement, and I said, Molly, you need to get to understand this. Oh, I had thanked her for hanging with us during, we talked about hanging with us during the meeting when we talked about budgeting and all of that. And then I was talking specifically about the Do It for Daniel movie, and that I had gone to see it, and understanding that the intentions are really good, but to me there was something missing in a message. And I said, what you need to understand, Molly, is that you only fix things from the inside out.
You
Sure.
can.
Sure.
As many as you would like.
You all can, not just you. They can as well. There we go. You're welcome. I had said that, Molly, understand, everything is fixed from the inside out. You never look at the outside world to fix a struggle or a problem or a challenge. You have to start from the inside out, which is sort of a, not that we've like labeled it as a philosophy that we have in life, but it kind of is that we've continued to work on ourselves. If we're going to be better human beings, we need to work on the human being. And each of our team, we've understood that if our team members are going to be better human beings each and every day, that we need to help them nurture and foster that as well. And I think that goes to play with everything we're talking about. Is all of us have some innate desire, I think, to be better in more, in all ways. And that goes back to Wallace Wattles, who we talk about at length in not in recent times, but in years past. Wallace Wattles, in The Science of Getting Rich, really fashioned our way, helped us understand a certain way. But he describes in that book, he says that the human capacity is always about growing and being more. Always. Not kind of, sort of, sometimes, but always. Well, to do that requires more education, it requires more dedication, it requires more of being who we are and standing in that. And that's something that I know you and I have continually tried to educate ourselves in new ways. And whether it was like energetic work, or just knowledge, or getting down to concrete and pools, and just education on water chemistry. And we've continually educated ourselves, and in turn pass that on to this amazing group of people that we call our team, to continually strive to educate yourself. Because as you're growing, you're changing, but the world around you is changing as well, and your perception is changing. And if you're not growing, then your world isn't growing, and your perception of the world isn't growing, and you wonder why people get so blah about, my work is terrible, and I can't find workers, and I can't do this, and life is stressful. I'm getting all anxious just thinking about it. But when we are always kind of bringing on that attitude of growth and challenge and make ourselves be more than we are, which goes to the conversation yesterday with Mike too. Mike and I fought all the time around just get on the path, as he called it, the train track. You know how to do this, let's just do it, make a buttload of money, he would always say. And I would always say, but that's not satisfying. There's no amount of money in the world that would be satisfying to just get on that track and go. I always had switches. I wanted to start going and then go over here and then go over there, because it was me growing. And I think in the long term, that was the right thing for me.
I would think so, and I think Mike sees that, and he was here.
Yeah, how did you take that as we got toward the end? It was kind of an interesting emotional.
It was about time that we sat Al and Mike down, and I think they were both in the right place to have that like intense conversation about it. And it's a bit magical, because it's a glimpse for anybody who watches it into kind of the development of the company. And while you and he are very different people, you served a need for each other, like him throughout your whole life, because you've known him for so long, but then also in the business sense, And well, I don't know why when I came around, Mike had a hard time, although
Mike was threatened.
I can understand that I showed up and I had no intention of doing anything that Mike did at that time.
But he perceived
I
it.
inherently, though, I guess, had qualities that made things different. No?
I think it was something very different. You had my attention. You demanded my attention. When you
Well,
looked
not
at
on purpose.
No. I'm not saying that was
Well,
like
right.
that wasn't
I
your
guess
intent.
just because
No,
of
it
the
was
way I
because of
am.
how you are as a human being, but how you viewed things and the way you questioned things. You quite frankly demanded my attention in terms of how is this and why do we do this, and that had been kind of Mike's role. He had my attention, and all of a sudden, here's this person who's throwing big ideas and questioning some of kind of really the fundamentals of who we were, and I could see how that was threatening. And it's not like you usurped him and intentionally tried to, I'm going to try to take over, because that wasn't you at all, but rather your demand for my attention because you wanted to know why things had to be the way they were, and they didn't need to be that way, as we well found out. I think that was very threatening to him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, not that long ago, Mike came to me and he said, like, I accept you now. It only took a decade.
It took a decade plus
yeah.
for him to finally
But
say that.
He found the words,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was great.
Well, and I think what he realized was you brought a set of skills that were better equipped to handle where my vision was going, whether I was pushing a boulder uphill or letting it roll downhill. And I don't think that he could ever quite wrangle my crazy thoughts. And you could never quite put it.
Well, and it wasn't
in a way.
necessarily somewhere he was meant to go.
No, right.
Mm-hmm. He was meant to be exactly the person he was at the time.
And it served in an amazing way.
Like, he still is, and he's still a very big part of like everything that we're working on right now.
And a part of who I am as a human being, for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So on that note, I think it's a good place for us to like round out this conversation today, and I'm sure we'll be back with more again, tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. Because we're doing a ton of everything all the time. And it's funny, like when Mike came yesterday, he's like, so Sandy, what do you do like in your downtime these days or for fun? And it's like, I market. And Kaylee was saying, Kaylee was saying the other day, because I taught before our team meeting, I taught everybody how to go on YouTube and make a title for our YouTube videos. And then I was talking about this, and I was showing them this app, and Kaylee's like, yeah, she never sleeps. Like, she goes to bed at like 9 o'clock, and she'll be up until 2, because that's when I do a lot of my editing of photos and videos on the phone, and I turn us all into comic characters, and I explore how to put word swag on this app and how to cut things out of that one.
You find the new app that's then going to allow us to do other things.
That we add. So, that really is, like, that's what I do for fun. So, I mean, well, also...
So it's a little bit of a twisted idea of what fun is, but that's Sandy's fun.
I buy, like, train stuff, because, this is my life now. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. And our railroad in the basement of the office
is
in the
growing
mansion
to pretty cool.
It's really neat.
I'm gonna make a prediction that our train set will end up epic. Epic.
Continually growing. At some point, I envision, like Mr. Rogers' trolley went from one land to another. It's going to wind its way around
up the steps, through the living room, and
into the rest of our entertaining space in the speakeasy. That wrap around.
There's
head up
so
up the mountain, go across the ceiling. Like, that could be really cool. And that's a Sandyland challenge.
I think that we should have a conversation moving forward, maybe our next
in front of the train set?
About the train set.
About the train set.
Building a land of make-believe.
And we will show you this train set we speak of.
And what it is for me is it's a culmination of the stories of my life that have influenced my life in a way that nothing else has. Did I tell you that Mo made a comment about a book he started reading the other day?
No.
A Louis L'Amour book. And he goes, yeah, and we had just gotten on the phone and talked to him in a few days. Mo is a childhood friend of mine. He and I have been together for almost 50 years now. He said, yeah, I started this book the other day, and I can't say that I remember it. The mother wanted to get rid of her son. And I'm like, oh, you mean Riley's Luck? He goes, yeah, how did you remember? But those stories are so rich. It's the name of the book is Riley's Luck by Louis L'Amour. Those stories are so rich and alive in my mind, and that's what the train is. It's taking those stories and bringing them to life in a way that only probably in all the people in the world, only Mo and I could sit at eye level and look down that Old West Town street and feel that feeling. I'm sure there's other people, but I know that when I sit there and I gaze down that street of this Old West Town and building, I can imagine him sitting next to me, looking down that street.
And looking for everybody's house.
And looking for the same elements and the same things, although in his mind something might look different than this, but it's sort of this coming alive make-believe world, which just allows my mind to play. So we'll have to do some talk about that and how, as fairly old man, I'm 50-some years old, playing with train sets much like I did when I was 10, but on a whole nother mental, emotional, and physical level.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned. It's bound to be awesome.